So the third assessment that we need to do when we're picking out our pre-construction project to invest in is we need to compare its value. Basically, what that means is, what is the price that this particular building or unit that is coming by in, what stage I'm purchasing in. And I need to make certain comparables and analysis in order to make sure that it is priced well for me and I'm not overpaying for it. How we can make those particular assessments is, first and foremost, we have to understand that in pre-construction, most often than not, you're going to be paying a premium price that of a older existing building. It is generally true that if you have an option between purchasing an older unit and purchasing a new unit, everyone, or a lot more people, of course, would like a new product, something that no one has ever lived or utilized or used. Generally, there has been a study done that people are, for anything that is new, people are generally fine to pay 20% more. That's just as if today, so without any pre-construction investment. So if I have a unit that is, for example, $500,000 on resale right now, and that has been lived in for a couple of years, and I have another building on resale that's just brand new and it's about you're just occupying and moving into it, that building value is going to be automatically $600,000. Like, people are going to be willing to pay that $100,000 more potentially to be in that new building. Now, when you add the element of pre-construction and future market value and future market growth, and on top of that, it being a high demand where a lot of investors get into this particular industry, that certainly drives up the difference between the resale as well as the new pre-construction. But we have to assess, the lower this difference is, the better it is. There are certain opportunities that are, even the pre-construction sometimes is less than the resale. Those are things that you have to jump on because you know for a fact that that's going to grow. That makes 100% sense. But generally speaking, the pre-construction value is going to be more. So the first thing that we need to compare is going to be, we need to compare the price of this pre-construction project as compared to the resale, and see, is it within particular range for me to invest in, or do I need to, are there other better opportunities? I'll give you another example. Earlier this particular year, downtown prices were about $1,000 in resale. And there was a pre-construction project that came by in downtown, and it was going for about $1,200 to $1,250 a square feet. Now that is an excellent value that the builders have introduced. 100% you should be jumping on that particular type of project because the difference is only 20%. It's as if you're purchasing that property now. The second element of it is going to be what is the price versus competitors. So this particular building that you're investing in, how is the value of this particular property compared to the competitors? So if this pre-construction project, let's say you're purchasing in downtown, let's say if it is priced at $1,500 a square foot, how much is the investors, the other competitors are going to be? If other competitors within the area are selling it at $1,400 a square feet or $1,300 a square feet, well, then perhaps maybe you have to be a little bit careful, because usually, generally, people, the investments go up at a similar rate. But is that extra, paying that $100 to $150 a square feet difference, is it worth it? Is it justified, or is it not? I'll give you another example. So in downtown, there are projects that were being released this year for $1,400 a square foot, $1,500 a square foot. Simultaneously, the 33 Yorkville King being sold at $2,100 a square feet. There's a $600 difference. Was it worth it? Certainly, because in that particular market, keep, resale, Yorkville condos were selling at $1,700-$1,800 a square foot. So $2,100 a square feet in pre-construction, definitely less than 20% excellent value there. But if you compare it to the other pre-construction projects within downtown, they are much more cheaper. So you have to assess if they are being sold for more. Doesn't necessarily mean that you discount it, but you have to keep it in mind as to is it justified, that particular difference. But if all else being the same, if one is being sold at $1,500 a square foot and the other is being sold at $1,400 a square foot, of course you have to make those assessments. The third element of it is that you have to compare the pricing that you're purchasing compared to the launch pricing. Generally, as we're going to discuss into the future, initial pricing launch is happen at a certain price, then the builders increase the price, then increase the price, then increase the price. Your goal should be that you have to get in at the bottom, because as it increases, that means your profit potentials increases, your risk levels decrease, and your profit potentials increase. There's a buffer zone between the price that you bought it and perhaps someone else that bought it 6 months later. They're definitely going to buy it at more. So you have to compare it in terms of the price of the unit that you're getting compared to its initial launch, and then make your assessment accordingly, whether it's still a good assessment or not. The other elements of it that you of course have to take a look at is what is the vacancy rates within the area. How does that get affected? Sometimes certain projects are priced a little bit more, but then the vacancy rates, for example, in Oakville, we did a project not too long ago, was the Wilmot condos. They were priced pretty modestly, but in Oakville is one of the growing areas in that particular community, and the vacancy rate was like 0.6, 0.7%. So therefore, vacancy is inversely related to the price. If the vacancy rate is going down, price is going to increase. So you have to keep those particular elements, the rental rates, these things help to determine the true value. Is it a good value of an investment? And last but not least, certain thing that you should sort of keep in mind is the market predictions in that particular investment that you're doing. What is the market predictions and the outlook for that type of an investment, and the future growth predictions for it? Are you purchasing at the peak time of the market? Is it at the time of consolidation of the market? So these things help to determine whether it's a good value of a property to purchase. So for example, this year the detached housing market has grown by 40-50%. Earlier this year, for example, there's a project in Richmond Hill. Homes were being sold for about $1.6 million. Now the same homes are being sold for $2.1, $2.2 million. Exact same home. In about 6 months of a time difference. So you're certainly buying it at a peak. But what is the market predictions? You're buying at the peak, but is it the peak? Is next year predicted to be even more? You have to keep that in mind, because if it is the peak, then perhaps maybe it's a high risk. But if the prediction is that it's going to increase even further, then it might be okay for you to make that purchasing decision. So this is the value. You have to consider the value of this particular pre-construction investment, compare it to the current market, compare it to the resale market, compare it to the competitors, compare it to the vacancy rates, and compare it to the market predictions. And based on that, then you make a decision whether it's a good value to make a purchasing decision of this particular project.